and welcome to today's session, which is on exploring what if analysis in Excel. And interestingly, the presenter is also making available the practice file. So if you check in the chat, you will see she has shared the practice file. I'm going to reshare it when our session begins in case you can't access it yet. So our presenter is Tolulope Olowookere, and this session is brought to you by your BizEdge and MHS Analytics Inc. Your BizEdge, we are a training and consulting, also solutions to firm in Nigeria. And for all your Microsoft Excel, Power BI, financial modeling, SQL, even Python data analysis needs, we are one of your best blogs. We are one of the best providers you can reach out to, training, consulting. And I'm going to share this. So we have also a digital platform where you can take our online classes at your own pace, and you can also download some free resources. Maybe you're trying to prepare for the advanced financial modeling exam, or some other things. So you can, I'll paste it in the chat so you can take advantage of resources that are either free or cheap, and begin to gain productivity in your career and professional work. MHS Analytics is a Canadian entity, so same service, just a different region. So in case you have people in Canada, US, UK, Europe, this might be the more convenient entity for them to reach us through. Maybe I'll also share the link. All right, so our special guest is Tolulope. She's a Microsoft Certified Trainer, also a data analyst with 5 years combined experience across different industries, and the popular stack: Excel, Power BI, VBA, and SQL. So she is going to be taking us on this interesting session. I will share our LinkedIn in the chat so you can connect with her. And right now, I'll hand over to her so that she gets the time she needs to take us through or what she's prepared. Okay, so Tolu, over to you.
Thank you, Michael, for the quick introduction. Good evening, everybody, or good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Um, my name is Tolulope, and I'll be taking us on the topic exploring what if analysis in Excel. So I would share my screen in a minute. Okay. Okay. So what if analysis in Excel? What if analysis in Excel? We most times use it when we are working with financial models because for the most part, the way it works is what you have inputs that you want to get a desired output from. I know that's how we work with most of the financial models. So, but it's not just limited to financial aspects, if I may put it that way. There are other instances that you can use it. So what is what if analysis? So what if analysis is also called, sometimes people call it scenario analysis, others call it sensitivity analysis. It just helps you to make more informed decision by giving case scenarios, or as the word says, what if scenarios. And with that, you can give better decision, or you can make better decisions. So I'm just going to give an example. So supposing you have like a small business. The one I have here is for this drink, Avril Zobo drink. If you're not in Nigeria, Zobo is what we call hibiscus tea, but it's very popular in Nigeria and it's a very refreshing drink. Supposing you are running this small business, maybe on campus, and you want to find out how to make more money from your business, you want to expand your business, you want to increase your profit. What if analysis is what's going to help you to explore different strategies? That's just how I'm going to put it. So you might have to ask questions like, what if I offer a discount to customers who buy maybe more than 2 bottles? Or should I increase the price of my cupcake? Would doing any of these two things increase my profits in the long run? With these are the kind of questions that you ask when you're exploring what if analysis. So you evaluate different scenarios to see what might happen. So Excel there are two types of what if analysis. So there's scenario analysis and sensitivity analysis. So scenario analysis is like scenario based, and Excel has given us three tools by default. Like the default Excel has given us three tools to help us perform what if analysis. So we have scenario manager, goal seek, data table, and an additional tool that has to be added like an add-in, and that is solver. So enough of my talking. We'll go right into it. We're going to explore all these tools, and that's what we're going to do in this class today, in this webinar today. So let me just move on to my Excel. So as Michael has said earlier, the sheet is in the chat box. So if you'd like to follow along while taking the class, it will be advisable. You can just download it and open it in Excel so that you can follow along. Okay, so in order for you to explore what if analysis in Excel, the tools that we have, as I said, there are three. You can find them in the data ribbon under forecast. So there are three here. If I open this drop down, I can see scenario manager, goal seek, and data table. And they have their explanations of what they do. We'll explore all of them. And then we have another one, solver. By default, if you've not activated solver on your machine, you wouldn't see this. So in order for you to bring up this solver, you have to go to the file, and then you go to options, and then you go to add-ins, and then manage Excel add-ins. You click on go, then you see solver add-in. So you have to make sure that this is checked. So once this is checked, you click on OK, and you have solver added to the data tab. So if you've done this and you don't see it, you might just have to restart Excel again. But that's how to bring up solver. Okay, so we're going to be working with these tools. The first one is scenario manager. And the whole essence of scenario manager, just from the name, scenario manager. So it just means you're managing scenarios. And we usually use it for when we're about to start a project, or maybe a campaign or something new in the business side. Anyways, it's not just limited to business, it could also be you. It could be that you are trying to see scenarios where, okay, in case I get an increase in income, how much am I going to be able to save? Different scenarios for different things. So in this case, we're going to be working with this simple scenario. So let me just try to explain what's happening here. So it's high quality full day Excel on-site training. So we are trying to plan for a quality full day Excel training that will be on site. So because it's going to be on site, we will have to rent out a conference room. And when we did our research, found out that it's about 600,000 naira. We have to feed because you're keeping the participants for the whole day. So you have to feed them, and we estimated we'll feed them for breakfast and lunch. And we're going to spend about 12,500 for each participant. Then the training materials, we have handouts and other maybe notepads and things like that would distribute among participants. We've estimated it to be 3,000 per participant. And after the whole training, the participants will get a certification or a certificate of completion or a certificate of attendance, whatever it is. And we estimated that to print that, we spend about 2,000 per participant. And there's a prize for the best participant. So there's going to be a quiz at the end, and the best performing participant is going to go home with 100K. So with that, we're expecting, this is a project, or this is an event that we're expecting to take over or take on rather. We want 40 participants, and we're going to be charging 100,000 for this course, just for 1 day. Now we have to derive the total feeding cost. So since we have 40 participants, right? So we'll say something like equal to the number here, right? That's 40 times the number of participants we have is 12,500. That's the total feeding cost for participants. And you see enter. So we're going to spend about 500K on feeding alone. Then the conference room. So the conference room that we found can take up to 50 participants, so we don't have to pay extra. So this will be the same amount. The training materials, we're going to have, each participant is going to have a training material. So we're going to do 40 again, multiplied by the training material costs, because this material cost is for one, and that's about 120. Then certificate costs, we're giving each participant certificate. So that's 40 times 2,000, and then I say okay. Then the prize award is just one participant we are going to be awarding, so we're just going to put in the same figure down here. Then now we have to calculate the total revenue. Total revenue is what is coming in, so all we're going to do here is 40 multiplied by 800,000, and we have about 4 million. Then we're going to also calculate total cost. Total cost is what we're spending money on. So we're going to just do a quick sum. So sum feeding costs plus conference room cost plus training material cost plus certificate cost plus the prize award cost. So all these costs is what we're going to add. And we have 1.4 million. So in case of anything, we might have to pay VAT, and let's say it is at a 5% of our revenue. So we're going to do 5% multiplied by 4 million. That's about 200,000. And then contingencies, who knows, in Nigeria, maybe there's no lights, we have to pay for this and do what, anything can come up. So we might just have to, it's good to provide for contingencies in case any wrong thing happens. So we're taking 7% multiplied by our revenue, about 200K in contingency. So our gross profits here will now be, so all the total revenue minus everything here. So total revenue minus, I can say the sum of this, sorry. I'm supposed to highlight it and close the brackets. The sum of the three. And then I say, okay, so I have about 2,120,000. All things being equal, this is a good profit. At least I'm giving back to the community and I'm going back home with about 2 million. That's fair. But this is not always the case. So this is where scenario manager comes in, what if analysis comes in. So we have to create scenarios in cases where this might not be the case. So we're going to create 3 scenarios now. So let's go into what if analysis and pick scenario manager. So a window comes up like this. And since our cursor was on the gross profit, you will just click on add. We're going to add a new scenario. We're going to call this scenario, let's just call it normal. That's what's happening now. We're not changing anything. It's the next argument is asking for, it says by changing cell, and it's on B23, but that's not what we want to change now. So we're going to change 2 cells, and the only things we really can change here is either the number of participants or the costs of the course. That's the cost fee. Okay, so once we do this, we say okay. So I noticed something here. So it's showing us B11 and B12. So there are sometimes that you might not want to see B11 and B12 because you might be wondering what is in B11. Imagine you have a very big spreadsheet. So it's better you incorporate named range in this case. So I'll just cancel this and do it all over again. So I'm going to highlight these cells, these 4 cells, number of participants and cost fee. And then I'll go to the formulas ribbon. Under defined names, I'll click on create from selection. So what happens now is that you're going to name, if I choose left column, it's going to name these 2 cells, that's B11 and B12, as the name that appears to the left. So I say okay. So what happens now is that if I click on name manager, I'll see I have cost fee and I also have number of participants. So I've already named these 2 cells. So I'll also name this last one here. Just name it gross profit as it's seen. Left column also. And I say, okay, so this will also be gross profit. And I have number of participants and cost fee. So close. So back to the data tab, I'm going to use the what if analysis again. So scenario manager, and I click on add. I'm going to call it normal, just as I did earlier before I included named range. So we are the cells that we want to tweak or change is going to be this cell and this cell. I don't think it's picking it correctly. Instead, we want to change at this B11, comma, and B12. Yes. So I'll click on OK. And remember, I called it normal. So I just hit OK. So now you can see it's showing number of participants at 40 and the cost fee 120. So we are good with this. I can just say OK. I can add another scenario and I'll call this maybe worst case, or just call it worst. So imagine we don't get up to, still changing these 2 cells, I'll say okay. Imagine we don't get up to 40 participants, maybe only after all our adverts and everything, only maybe 25 people show up. And they're even begging that, oh, this 100,000 is a lot. We can't pay 100,000. So please, they're begging to pay maybe 70,000. They're asking for a discount. And I say add. So that's the worst case, right? I'm going to add the last case. So in case, imagine there's something better than what we even have, right? So I'll call it best case and I'll say, okay. So imagine we have more than 40 people show up. So we even have about maybe 45 and they see our cost content because maybe part of what we sent for the campaign, they saw what we're going to be taking during the course and they're like, you're charging 100,000. That's too small. Let's increase it to maybe about 120,000. And then I say, okay, or add. Those are the 3 scenarios I'm going to be working with. So once you have all these scenarios that you're working with, you will now click on summary. So what happens is that a new sheet will open, a new sheet will appear. Okay, before that, sorry. So to ask you what results cell, it had already seen that is this results that would be working with. So you can just click on OK. It will add a new page with the summary of what's happening. So if you take a closer look, you see that with normal scenario, we're having 2.1 million, and that's fair. Worst case scenario, we have 25 people showing up and they're even asking for a discount and we're going home with about 400K. With this kind of information, you can go back to the management and ask, is it really worth it taking on this, doing this 1-day training, or things are very great and we have something like the best case scenario, we can even be going home with our 3.2 million. So you can have multiple scenarios. So it's not just limited to 3. So you can keep adding more and seeing what what cases would be better for you in order to make decisions. So with this beautiful summary that the scenario manager has created for us, you can even present it to stakeholders if need be, and they can make their decisions. Or you yourself, if you are the stakeholder, you can make your decisions yourself with just a few clicks. So I hope we understand how scenario manager works. And you see the essence of the named range. If I left it at B11 and B12, I'll be seeing B11 and B12, and my report will not look the best. But because I've given the cells names, I can see number of participants, cost fee, and gross profits. So that's how scenario manager works. So moving on, we'll go on to the next one. And we're going to work with goal seek. So for goal seek, it is the way goal seek works is that it's useful when you know the results you want, but you don't even know how, you don't know the input that can be used to derive that output. So you have what you want, but how to get there is what you are not sure of. So this is just an example of a dummy data for salary for a company, and they want to do a form of salary increase. So I think this will be between HR and finance team. So the budget for the salary, new salary is 114, I'm sorry, 145 million in salary, and they want to increase it. What they did here was, this is the old salary for these people, and then this is the new salary. I hope my screen is visible enough. This is the old salary and this is the new salary. If you look into the new salary, you see that there's a formula, D2 times I4. So there's a 20% increase on the new salary. But with all that, we're just at 124. But the budget that was given by the management is 145 that should be spent on salaries. So this is where we want to get to. So we don't know how to get to where we want to get to. So this is where goal seek comes in very handy. So the goal is, the goal is 145 million, and these are our inputs, and this also. So to work with goal seek, you go into what you have right now, you just put your cursor on it, then go to what if analysis, goal seek. So set the arguments here are set cell to value by changing cell. So the set cell is the cell that you currently have. You want to change it to let me take this up. You want to change it to 145 million, 145, 123, let me move the comma, 145, 123, by changing cell. So you want to toy with the interest rate. It's like the 20% interest rate that you applied earlier. It's not enough to get to the new budget. So with this, just click on OK. So what happens now is that it does the calculation for you without you doing anything. And if you scroll down, so I just click on OK. If you scroll down, you see that you've had the 145,000. Sorry, 145 million. So it's easy peasy. It's not something that so we wanted 145 at the beginning. We didn't have up to that. We set the cell to 145 by changing the percentage. So before it was 20%, now it looks like we have to increase it times 2. So we have to apply a 40% increase. I'm sure all the employees in this organization will be so happy that this kind of change is coming. But this is just one ways we can explore goal seek. Okay, there's another sheet that says goal seek 2. So I have many examples in this sheet, so we can just use all of them. So with this is okay. I'll just delete what I have here, so I'll start again. You are a company, and then I think I should go to this. No, it depends. It doesn't matter. Okay, you're a company and you want to expand. You have a company and you want to expand your businesses to you just need more capital to expand your business, and you are seeking loan from the bank, and you are asking for 100 million naira, and you want to pay them back in 10 months because this your idea is so fantastic. This just an, an example. And the bank is asking you to pay, they'll give you this money, but you have to pay back with 18% interest rate. So you accept, you just listen to their offer, you go back home, or even just open up your laptop and then you try to do the calculation. Still on the data tab, we're going to work with goal secure. But before we go on, let's even determine how much you have to pay at the end of the 10-month period. So to do this, we'll have to use a formula called PMT. So you can either type it in, or you can go into the formula tab under financial. You should search for PMT. Okay, it's right here. So the first argument is asking for is the rate. So remember, it's 18%. The N par is the number of periods. So in this case, 10, that's 10 months. The present value is how much you have, how much you want to lend or you want to borrow from the bank. So because it's not yours, you have to put a minus in front of it and put the amount. That's 100 million. And then you can ignore the other two. Then you say, okay. So it means you're going to pay back. You're going to pay 22 million every month for the next 10 months. And if we multiply this 22 million now times the payment period, so you're going to even pay, if you can see this, increase the font size. You're going to even pay higher than what you have borrowed, this times 2 plus extra. And it doesn't make sense. So you'll be thinking like, does it worth it? Should I just save up? Should I look for other sources that can get loans from, or what can I do in this case? Or another alternative is you can ask the bank to maybe for a lower interest rate, or other lending bodies that will offer lower interest rate. So let's use GoldSeek to work with this. So in case you can't pay this 22 million, you can only pay, let's say, 15 million every month. Let's see how that will work. So go back to the data tab. What if analysis, goal seek. You're setting this sale to 15 million. Right? By changing, you want to see what interest rate will be more profitable for you, or realistic for you, if I may put it that way. And you say, okay. So this is, well, we're coming up with 8%. It has worked it out for us. And only if we find a loan or a lending body that can give us 100 million at 8%, that's when we can be fulfilled. But it does not even look realistic. So it just shows that we go seek. You can tweak your desired outcome by changing some few inputs. So I hope you understand what's happening here. So I know 8%, if we're talking about the real, what's happening right now in Nigeria, it does not look realistic at all, but this is just how GoSeek was. You can also say, oh, this 15% is not, 8% is not realistic. And then think of it and say, oh, okay, what if I can squeeze paying 18 million by changing the interest rate also? Or it could, how much interest? Oh, so 12% interest is still reasonable. At least there might be some places that you could get this kind of interest rates. And if the business is that good, you should be able to raise this kind of money before the time elapses. So it works in different ways. All right, so moving on, we'll be going into another scenario or another instance. So this one is still for that's my small business. I have been able to sell, let me zoom in a bit. I've been able to sell 475 pieces of my delicious Zobo drink, and I have pegged the price at 1,500. But I can see that there's so much because I'm in the campus environment. The weather is so hot. Serving these drinks, sometimes I even run out of sales for the day. I can see that if I increase my quantity, I would be able to make more money. So let's even know how much we're generating right now. So our total revenue is 1,005 times our quantity sold. So we're bringing in about 712,500 as revenue. Okay, moving on to this next table. However, revenue is beautiful, but we have costs that we have to pay for. So we are for each unit that is sold, we spend about 800 naira on each because we're serving delicious. We're not just serving anything, we're serving good stuff. So our total revenue is this multiplied by 475. So we have it at 712,500. Then variable cost is going to be 800 times the number of units because it's per unit. So it's about 380,000. Our fixed cost is just general fixed cost, maybe for internet and maybe for light bill. So it's just the same as what we have here, 30,000. So we have to find the profit. And what we're going to do is revenue minus this one minus this one. Then, yeah, we have 302,500 as our profit. And it looks like with all this hard work, this profit can do better than this. So we can use GoSeek to find out how much we can, like, if we increase our profit to a certain amount, how much we need to sell in order to attain that profit. That means how much do we need to increase in our quantity to attain that profit. So same thing, go into what if analysis, goal seek, and then since my cursor is here already, it's asking to what value. So in case this 302,000 naira is not so good, so let's say we're increasing our profit to 500,000 by changing quantity sold, and then I click on OK. So it's telling me that if I am able to sell 757 or about 757 pieces of my Zobo drink, I'll be able to churn in 500K for that period. And that looks good because it looks like this is the season where the weather is hot. More people prefer to take cold drinks. So what I have to do now is make sure that I'm increasing my quantity sold in order to get this profit. So it works now seamlessly that way. Okay, excuse me. There's another tool that is that comes in very handy and can even do what I don't know if you noticed that when we're working with GoSeek, we could only like change one cell, but with Solver you can change more than one cell. So Solver lets you see more than one cell. Solver lets you set more than one cell, whereas with GoSeek, you can only change one cell. So it's an advanced, it does more than what GoSeek would do. So in this case, and Solver also works with constraints. So imagine there's a constraint, like in this case, the constraint is you can't sell. We now notice that we have competitors around that are also selling the same drink, although ours is more tasty, but they are selling theirs at a way cheaper price, maybe about 1,000. And then we see, okay, what if we reduce the price of our drink in a form of discount or something, and then we find out, let's see if that's going to increase our profit to a certain amount. So with solver, we can do that. So let's work with that. Solver is here on our screen. So you just click on it. And once you click on it, this window appears, or I'll call it a dialog box. So the objective you are setting, just move it around, is this here. And then we want to make sure that this amount, you can choose value of, so you'll be able to type in what you want to type in. 500,000, right? By changing variable of what sells. So we want to change two things now. So the quantity sold, comma, and the price per unit sold. That's the second thing was changing. Then it's asking for constraints. So let me zoom out a bit. So we click on add. Then, so we want to make sure that the price per unit is less than or equal to 1,200. And then I say add. No, I just say okay rather. So you can add more than one constraint. I click on okay. So this is the constraint that's been added here. So we are making sure that the price per unit is less than or equal to 1,200. So once we're done with that, we just click on solve. And this window opens, then just click on OK. So what happens now? It has increased our profit to 500. That's the goal. And it's saying in order for us to sell at this price of 1,200, we have to make sure that we increase the production or sell about 1,325 bottles. That's a lot. So it's either you go this route or you stick to this route where you just stick with your normal price and sell this amount, where you still get your profits of 500,000, or reduce the price and do more work and sell up to this. But it all depends on the way the demand goes anyways. So with that, you can make better decisions in the long run. Okay. So that's how solver works. You saw that we can use we can change two variables, or we can set two variables. In this case, we're setting both the quantity sold and also the price. And then we can also add the constraints. It's not compulsory, but just in case you have one, it comes in very handy. All right, so moving on, there's another tool called data table. And with data table, it could be very tricky, but once you get it, it's going to be very easy. The good thing about data table is that you can it gives you a form of they call it sensitivity analysis. So instead of trying, like with Go Signal, you can try different inputs one after the other. With data table, you can see the whole, like you can see both the input and the output in a tabular form and choose where you would like to, like, it will help you make decisions easier than having to do calculations over and over again. Okay, so with data table, I have this table like area that I have drawn up here, and what we're going to put here is going to be our profit. So I have to reference this profit here. I can't just type in 500 like that. Then the next thing, price per unit. How much? So we're going to be showing different prices. Just come along with me. So in case we are charging 1,000, and then maybe it's 1,200. Then the next one, let's say, or let's say 1,000. Then 1,250. Then the next one 1,500. The next one 1,750. And then the next one I think that's 2,000, right? Yeah. So these are the prices that we have at our range, whether to increase or decrease our prices. Then the quantity sold, since quantity we're working with here is from 475 to 13250. So we can just go with maybe like from 500. So let's say 500, 1,000. Oh, but I have to put in this. Okay, let's go 500. Okay, let me just go from here. Do 1,325. So I'll just add 100 to this. So 1,425 and 1,525. And I'll subtract 100 from this. So 1,225 and 1,125. Okay, so these are the quantities sold. So in case we sell this and we sell this quantity and we are charging this amount, how much are we going to make in profit? So that's what we're trying to derive. Remember that this 500 that we have here is linked to the profits we have in this table. So to use the data table, once you have your values like this, you can just highlight the whole table, then go into what if analysis, click on data table. Now it's asking for two input, so row input cell and column input cell. So the best way to understand this is that for example, row input cell, what do I have on the row here? I have quantity sold. So I'll just choose the quantity sold from my initial table here. And then the column input cell, that's what I have here. That's the price. So I'll choose this as my price. And then I click on OK. So conditional formatting was applied already here. That's why we have this color. But if you want to clear it, you can easily clear it. So let me clear it first before we go on. So we see that at 135, 1,325 and 1,000. Oh, we don't even have 1,200. Oh, I that means it's supposed to be around somewhere around here. I missed out with 1,200, but with this table, anyways, you can see how much you would make by changing either your quantity sold or the amount you charge as your price. And you can always apply conditional formatting using color scales. So it shows you the parts that the sections that gives you higher profits. In this case, it's always better to increase your price than even the quantity, because even at selling 1,523, and that's 1,525 bottles of the drink, and at 1,000 naira, it's still not a reasonable profit. But once you increase your price, at least you are breaking even one way or the other. Even the highest price and the highest quantity is the best fit. So this is how data table works. We'll see another example of data table 2 in action, and maybe this one will be more, we can relate to it more. Okay, the next page is speaking to annual personal savings plan. Imagine, let me, I think the size of the font is a bit small. Let me just increase it. So imagine you want this new year, you're starting out and you want to start saving with any of the savings channels that we have, fintech. So like in Nigeria, we have places like Piggyvest, Cowrywise, Bamboo, whatever they're called. There are lots. So you're just trying to see who is going to be more profitable, or what's going to be more profitable for you to put your money in. So you're trying to check out the interest rates that they offer. How much how much are you going to get once you save, for example, 100,000 naira every month? So let's do this formula again. And I'll even clear this. Just delete what I have here. Right, so we just do it again. So I have 100,000 naira for 12 months. I want to say for the whole year. And the interest rate that one of those apps are charging me is 12.5 interest rate. So I want to see if do I need to increase my savings amount or do I need to go to another app to check how much interest they'll be offering me. So first of all, let me even know how much I'm going to get at the end of the 12 months. So we're going to use a function called FV. FV is future value. So under the financial, you see FV, you can just click on it. The first thing it's asking for is the rates. So in this case, the rate is 12.5. Then the next thing it's asking for is the NPA. So that's the number of years. So this rate now, we have to divide it by 12 because we're working with 12 months. Then the the NPA is the number of months, so 12. And the payment period is sorry, the payment amount is 100,000. So, and because this money is leaving your account, you have to put a minus in front. So minus 3, and then I say okay. So it's telling me that at the end of 12 months, if I deposit 100,000 in this plan, I'm going to just go home with 1.2 million 700. So just like 71,000 that I'm getting in returns. Is that going to be wise? At least it's better than just keeping your money in the bank and it's not yielding anything for you. But you might be like, let me even see if there are other options for me out there. So let me not just stick to what is happening here or what this rate is. So for example, I'll just type in here savings amount. And we said we're starting with 100,000, right? So in case, let's see, let's start with 80,000, for example, just yeah, then 100. I'll just be increasing it by 20, so I can just drag this down. So in case these are the amounts I can afford at this point. So at this point, I'm going to, so before I go on, we saw the data table that we created here, and it is two variable. We had price and we had quantity sold. So you can also apply data table to one variable. So this time around, you're just working with one variable, not the row and the column, just one. In this case, it's going to be the column. So here, I'm going to type in this future amount because this is what the data table will be working with. I want to know if it's 80,000, how much will I get at the end of the month? With 100,000, how much am I going to get at the end of the month? This thing. So what same thing we did earlier would highlight the cells that we are referring to, go into the data ribbon, what if analysis, data table. Now the data table dialog box pops up. It's asking us row input cell or column input cell. Is it going to be column input cell or row input cell? If you know you can drop the answer that you think in the comments section. Anybody? Okay, it's like nobody's answering. So in this case, because the values that we have are
So
column
someone
one.
said,
Okay.
someone said, I guess the person meant row, but she
Oh,
typed it as rolling. But
okay. So thank you for that response. Anyways, so as I said earlier, the data table can be a bit tricky. So we have to understand when to use row or column. In this case, it's going to be column just because, like, see the way I'm looking at it now. The result you want to appear is going to come in a column. That's just like it's going to come in column C. It's not going to spread across row 11. down, if you understand me. So in this case, it's going to be column column input. And what you're going to put in the column input is highlight the whole column again. Then we go see we go into data table. It's column index we're working with now. So yeah, it's the amounts that we are paying in the where am I clicking? Okay. C3, right. Is what we're working with. So now it's giving us how much we're going to make and how much we're going to make at the end of the saving period. So go back to home. Let me just add format it a bit. So with this, we can see that our best bet is just to increase our saving if we want to have better returns at the end of the year. So at least with 120K, 1.5, 140K, 1.7, 160K, 2.0, 180K, 2.2. So it just depends on your savings goal. And this case, you find out that data table can help you see how much you can decide, oh, maybe I should just tighten my belt a little bit and see that I would need to save more in order to get more returns. So that's how the one variable data table works. So moving on to the two variable data table, remember that we always have to recall or link the solution of our previous table to the data table, because that's what is basing is working on, the formula behind that. So in this case, I'll just say there's a formatting in that cell. So in this case, I'll say equal to, and I'll put this in here, and I'll say enter. Still formatted. Okay. So I have 1.2 million. Yes, this is what I'm going to be working with. This same amount, the same thing I'm going to be working with. So I'll just drag it and drop it here. But in this case, I'm going to be looking for better savings platform that will give me something better than this. So maybe I have some that give, let me just start from 8%, another, okay, or 8.5, also 8.5, because that's what most of them give these days. 10.5, not 10, 10.5%. Then I have let's say 12.5%, 0.5%, then 14.5%, nice, then 16, this would be great, 5%. Okay, so these are the interest rates, the ranges or the range of interest rates that are available on other platforms. And this is the amount I'm thinking of saving throughout the whole year. So remember, we have to highlight the whole cell, the whole range, go into data tab, data, and what if analysis, data table. And then now we have, since the two variable data table, we have to include both the row input cell and the column input cell. So if you remember what I just explained, what's going to happen in our row? So what's in the row now in this case is the rates. So we take it from the source table. So this rates, and then the column input cell, take it also from the source table, this column, and then we hit OK. So what happens now is that it has generated the amount we're going to make at the end of the period. That's our 12 months period. If you look at this 12.5 and this 100K, is the same amount we have at the beginning here. So this, see how beautiful the data table works. And if it's something you're maybe working on at your office, you might want to present this in a better way. So with this figure here, the way the data table works, you can't really alter the elements of this the cells because it's based on a calculation. So this figure here can be confusing to people. So in order for you to maybe hide this figure, you can just blur it out or color it white so it doesn't look like anything is there, but you know that something is there. Another thing you can do, you can also apply what's it called, conditional formatting color scales to give it like a pop of color. The higher numbers should be green and the lower numbers should be red. So with this you can choose, it still looks like better. The more you save, the better returns you get. So no matter the interest rate, the more you save, the better for you. So this would be the end of my session today. Any questions you have, please kindly drop them in the comment section. I'll be glad to answer them. And I hope we learned a thing or two. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking at the comment area. Any questions from anyone? I think Koke is typing something, so maybe that will lead to a question.
Okay.
Okay, so Lola says, thank you, ID. Thank you very much. I will go get some practice. Okay, so it's not a question, just to say nice presentation. And that reminds me, you can access the practice file. I'm reposting you can access this so that you can also try to practice on the data yourself. Okay, so if no questions, I'll say thank you to Tolu. And okay, so someone is asking about the recording. I've shared the link of our YouTube channel. By tomorrow, I think by afternoon it should be there, but tomorrow you will be able to access the recording of this session. And also, importantly, you can access recordings of previous sessions. So I'll say, just give the channel a visit, even subscribe, and then go through past sessions. You might find something that really interests you that you are not part of it. Let me even share my screen so that I can show you where the link I pasted will take you to. And as you can see on my screen, these are the past sessions. Let me go to the one that shows just the videos in all arranged in a 4x unending scroll. So you'll see that we've had a lot of sessions, and I think it's amazing. We probably have over 400 sessions or like 300 plus. So yes, access it, see which one you missed that you can gain from. And thank you for joining us today. Thank you to Tolu for the well done presentation, making it relatable and using simple to follow examples. Could you kindly include the practice link in the YouTube as well? I'll try to mention to my colleague who does it. So maybe I'll just do that now before I forget. But thanks for bringing that up. Okay, I see Odoanya is also typing. Thanks, well done. Okay, I've answered that. You can access the practice file. Okay, so thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tolu, and have a wonderful Sunday. And see you next week. Bye. Bye, everyone.